Two upcoming movie sequels prove a burned-out 2000s subgenre is making a major comeback. For a while, it seemed like the early 2000s had left certain genres in the dust. Specifically, the gritty, hyper-stylized apocalyptic action horror and neo-noir sci-fi thrillers that once flooded DVD shelves gave rise to franchises like Resident Evil and Underworld, and captivated a generation raised on slow-motion shootouts, leather jackets, and green-tinted dystopias. But after a quiet decade, two surprising upcoming sequels are poised to bring that genre storm roaring back. 28 Years Later and Tron. Ares are not just long-awaited continuations of cult favorite franchises, they're signals. Signals that Hollywood is finally ready to revisit the dark, stylish, high-concept action horror and techno-thrillers of the early 2000s with fresh eyes and renewed energy. The return of Rage. 28 Years Later. When 28 Days Later hit theaters in 2002, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland didn't just redefine zombie horror, they ignited an entire subgenre. Fast, feral, infected humans replaced the slow shufflers of old. The movie's handheld cinematography, bleak British landscapes, and grounded emotional storytelling helped set it apart from anything else at the time. It spawned a sequel 28 weeks later in 2007, and for years, fans clamored for a third film. Now, nearly 2 decades later, we're not only getting 28 Years Later, we're getting a full trilogy. That's right, Sony has greenlit 3 films with Garland returning to script, Boyle to direct the first, and Cillian Murphy, star of the original, producing and potentially returning in front of the camera. Why does this matter? Because 28 Years Later represents more than nostalgia. It's a sign that audiences are hungry again for horror that blends the political and personal with a raw, apocalyptic tone. The original film helped kick off the gritty realism trend in genre filmmaking, and its return shows that post-pandemic viewers are more than ready to revisit emotionally intelligent end-of-the-world storytelling, especially when laced with the brutal immediacy that only Garland and Boyle can deliver. The grid is back online. Tron, Ares. Meanwhile, another early 2000s franchise that once seemed permanently disconnected is jacking back into the cultural mainframe. Tron, Ares, the long-awaited follow-up to Tron Legacy 2010, which itself was a sequel to the cult classic Tron 1982, is finally happening. With Jared Leto starring, Ares is promising to expand the Tron universe beyond the digital grid, literally bringing programs into the real world. Tron Legacy may have been divisive on release, but it has since gained a loyal fanbase, thanks to its stunning visual aesthetic, Daft Punk's now iconic synthwave score, and its unique approach to father-son legacy storytelling. At the time, it was one of the final big-budget movies to truly embrace the early 2000s cyberpunk style, neon landscapes, philosophical undertones, and slick techno-mysticism. The fact that Disney is now putting real muscle behind Tron Ares signals a renewed interest in those same visual and narrative themes. Audiences today are more tech-conscious than ever, grappling with AI, virtual identity, and digital escapism. The Tron franchise, with its stylized world-building and big questions about consciousness and control, suddenly feels more timely than ever. Why now? So, why is this all happening now? Part of it is the cyclical nature of pop culture. The 2000s are officially retro now, and as Gen Z and late millennials revisit the films that shaped their adolescence, there's a growing nostalgia for the tones, textures, and storytelling techniques of that era. But it's not just about aesthetic, it's about themes. The early 2000s were a post-9/11 era, filled with anxiety, technological uncertainty, and the collapse of institutional trust. Sound familiar? Pandemic, political upheaval, AI paranoia, and environmental